Dear children, we are discussing the important revision chapters as two revision videos. This is the first revision video. This video, first we are going to discuss some important question answers of that revision chapters. All of you listen carefully. Who was Ivan? Ivan was the servant of the cruel merchant. Second question. Who does sing songs for Ivan? The nightingale. Who does predict the storm? Cranes. What secret did the nightingale tell to Ivan? Ivan would become the king and the merchant would become his servant. Clear? Once more, who was Ivan? Ivan was the servant of a cruel merchant. Who does sing songs for Ivan? Yes, the nightingale. Who does predict the storm? Cranes. What secret did the nightingale tell to Ivan? Ivan would become the king and the merchant would become his servant. Who did teach Ivan the language of birds? The mother bird. Sixth question. Where did the child lose his parents? From the summer fairground. Seventh question. What was the little child's favorite sweet? Yes, it is laddu. Do you remember the little child in that chapter? The lost child? This question is about him. Okay. Once more. Fifth question. Who did teach Ivan the language of birds? The mother bird. Where did the child lose his parents? From the summer fairground. What was the little child's favorite sweet? Laddu. Who was Mr. Thomas Booth? The owner of the shop. Ninth question. Who did help the shoemaker? The elves. 10th question. What do the shoemaker decide to give to the elves? Feast and gift. Once more. Who was Mr. Thomas Booth? Yes, the owner of the shop. Who did help the shoemaker? The elves. What do the shoemaker decide to give to the elves? Yes, he decided to give feast and gift to the elves. In the first chapter, we discussed how to prepare a notice. Now, let's revise the tips that we want to take care when we are preparing a notice. If you are preparing a notice, you should remember these things. First, date of issuing should be mentioned at the top right corner, and next you want to address the pupil, addressing of pupil. Then next, purpose of the notice should be mentioned in short, and then you don't forget to mention the venue and time of the program. Then at last, the head who is issuing should be signed at the end of the notice. So, date of issuing, addressing of people, purpose of the notice should be mentioned, venue and time of the program should be mentioned, and at last the signature of the head who is issuing the notice, that also should be there in a notice. Okay, I think now all of you understand how to prepare a notice that we already prepared in the first chapter. Now let's discuss some important conversations of these revision chapters. The first conversation is from the language of birds. Listen to the statement, Your Majesty, supper is ready. Ivan looked at the old servant in front of him. He could not believe his eyes. Write the conversation between Ivan and the old man. Can you write the conversation? How can we write? Now, the merchant became the servant of Ivan. Now, Ivan is the king. So, we want to write the conversations between them. Once we wrote this, and now let's revise that. Ivan asked to the old man, Do you remember me? The old man, Your Majesty, you are our king. Ivan, yes, but I am your old servant. The old man, Oh, sorry, Your Majesty, please forgive me for my mistake. Then Ivan said, It's all right. So this is the conversation between Ivan and the old man. Once more, I will read it. All of you listen carefully. First, when he saw the old man invited Ivan for dinner, and he asked to Ivan that, Your Majesty, supper is ready. Then Ivan asked the old man, Do you remember me? The old man, Your Majesty, you are our king. Then Ivan said, Yes, but I am your old servant. The old man, Oh, sorry, Your Majesty, please forgive me for my mistake. Then Ivan said, It is all right. The second conversation is between the man and the little child, and it is from the chapter The Lost Child. All of you listen carefully. When the child lost his parents, he searched them everywhere and started crying. A man in the crowd heard his cry. He lifted him up in his arms and he asked something to that boy. Write the conversation between the man and the child. How can we complete that conversation? Do you remember the conversation between the man and the boy in that chapter, Lost Child? Do you remember the conversation between the man and the child? First, the man asked to the child, Whose child are you? Then the child replied, I want my father, I want my mother. Then the man asked, How do you get here? Then the child said, I want my father, I want my mother. Then the man asked, Do you like to play with a balloon? Then the child said, I want my father, I want my mother. Whenever the man asked about the boy, he is not ready to reveal anything. He only repeating the words, I want my father, I want my mother. Remember? In third standard, you studied the contracted forms and how to make the contracted forms of some words. So, now let's just revise some contracted forms. Contracted forms means the short forms of the words. Cannot, can't, will not, want, would not, wouldn't, we have, let us, let's. Like this, we can write the short form of words. Now, let's discuss some opposite words. Shouted, opposite, murmured. Cruel, opposite, kind. Appear, opposite, disappear. Suddenly, opposite, slowly. Cry, opposite, laugh. Shouted, opposite, murmured. Cruel, opposite, kind. Appear, opposite, disappear. Suddenly, opposite, slowly. Cry, opposite, laugh. Happy, opposite, sad. Narrow, opposite, wide. Start, opposite, stop. Close, opposite, open. Once more. Happy, opposite, sad. Narrow, opposite, wide. Start, opposite, stop. Close, opposite, open. You know, for making the past tense of some words, we are adding ed to the words, and sometimes the past tense will not end with ed. Let's discuss both cases. These are the past tense of the words that are ending with ed. Walk, walked. Fascinate, fascinated. Disappear, disappeared. Pack, packed. Jump, jumped. These are only the examples. So many other words are also ending with ed. Read: walk, walked. Fascinate, fascinated. Disappear, disappeared. Pack, packed. Jump, jumped. Here is an example of some words, the past tense of some words that are not ending with ed. Run, ran. Stand, stood. Bring, brought. Think, thought. Once more, what's the past tense of run? Run, ran. Stand, stood. Bring, brought. Think, thought. These are only some examples for the past tense of the words that are not ending with ed. Now, let's wind up our first revision class here, and the remaining activities let's discuss in the second revision class. So, all of you study well this part of activities, and let's meet with the remaining activities. Till then, all of you take care, study well. Thank you.